What's up, y'all? It is Wednesday, July 2nd, and you are watching Insiders TV, the show sponsored by FantasyElite, the app that you get in the App Store, and they added a new and improved web dashboard where you can look at the slates, you can favorite your players, you can see your games. So, very cool that they went ahead and did that. Last night, I took on Tommy G, and let's just say Tommy's no stranger to a spanking, and he was not a stranger again last night. So I beat him 2-1. I lost one game by 2 points. But as I said on Twitter earlier, it's like they say, in order to be the best, you got to beat BVP guys like Tommy first. So that is definitely a thing that we say. But guys, we've already got games started today, and how many games are on the late slate?
7.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
it's a chance of redemption if you try to go Cueto earlier today.
He's doing okay.
Yeah, but I mean, not Tyson Ross okay.
No. I mean, Tyson Ross's no-hitter did finally get broken up. And also, Kyle Cannon just told me on Twitter like an hour ago that the weather in the DC game is not looking great, which is not awesome for someone who went Doug Fister instead of Tyson Ross on a couple sites.
Ugh, I don't know why you would do that, but okay.
Especially, I mean, you look at the top of the Batman pitchers board, and Tyson Ross is there, so
yeah, but
I don't know
Fister,
why.
Fister was like 5, and you got to think that the chance of getting a win versus Cueto is not great because you're not predicting a 3-run blow up first inning for Cueto.
It does have Fister with the greatest chance of getting a win today.
You're weighing
And I
the
have him in
win
elite,
factor.
so I'm hoping that.
You're weighing the win factor too much, Davis, if you're playing on multi-pitcher sites.
Okay, well, I'm not going to play Cueto and Ross because that is purposely limiting how many points your pitchers can get. I'm not going to do that.
You're doing it wrong then, my friend, especially for cash games.
God, you're the worst.
You're doing it, I mean, and no, we've talked about this before. With the GPP, it's okay. With the GPP, because you want to maximize points. If
you know how most people say live every day like it's your last?
YOLO.
Mine is play every contest like it's a GPP.
Okay.
Hashtag YOLO.
Well, when you have like the 2 top pitchers pitching in one game, it is perfectly fine to play those 2 pitchers instead of fading one of the top pitchers and going with a guy like Doug Fister.
Well, thanks for the advice, David.
Well,
you're
welcome.
appreciate
Hey,
it.
This one's on the house.
Okay, all right.
All right. So Davis,
Washington weather looks fine anyways. You're fine.
yeah. Well, Davis
NBC.
likes to get in his quota of whining, and he's already.
Oh, Dan knows about my whining. Be honest. How much do you guys regret inviting me to the Skype chat?
Well,
not-
on a
not
scale
only-
of 1 to 10, we regret it.
Because not only do you have me complaining, but you have me making Steve's complaining worse by like encouraging him.
Well,
And you are
I
an
said it the
enabler.
other day. I'm like, I told Dave, if I ever get as bad as Steve or Dave, it's just I'm resigning from Fantasy Insiders. And then Dave is trying to say, "Well, I'm not as bad as Steve. I'm not." Steve is the most harsh, but you just keep at it. Steve loses momentum early on. He'll get his few digs in right away, and then be done with it.
Oh well,
Steve comes out in like a burst, and it's like there, and it's like expletive and like capital letters. But then
Whereas-
it tapers off quickly thereafter.
See,
Exactly.
whereas every single Evan Longoria at bat today, I was just punishing myself.
I don't
As
even-
we all were.
I don't
But
even
you
know
were
it.
just making it more evident.
I don't even know what that means. Can we talk about tonight's games though?
We can't.
Okay.
It's pretty gross, TBH.
Let's not get too crazy here.
Yeah, I don't know if that's necessarily true.
All right. Well, let's start by talking about pitchers. If we don't think that the weather concerns in DC and Baltimore are that bad, then we can just start talking about the pitchers. So, number 1 overall.
Well,
Wainwright?
DC is not going to be in
Yeah, that's not the late slate. That was the early slate today.
That's right. It's that weird. It's that 6:05 start time.
Yeah.
Derek even knew that. Come on.
Yeah, get on the ball.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about the night slate then. Who is the number 1 starting pitcher? Is it Wainwright?
I think it's Tehran. I mean, I I hate continuing to run guys out against the Mets because they're just making me look stupid. But I mean, they're not a good team. Wright is still not in the lineup, right?
Correct. Yeah, he's not going to be back in until
Yeah,
Friday.
not until Friday. So
Juan Lagares
I mean,
is the.
oh boy, yeah, Juan Lagares is in there, and he's batting second. So maybe
if you talk
maybe I
to-
should
if you talk-
reconsider.
If you talk to Mets fans, though, he's like the second coming. Mets
Well, he's
fans
ridiculous
love him.
defensively. Like he's like a really valuable real baseball player, but for a guy to be facing at the plate, not as much. So yeah, I just think the Mets are terrible. Tehran's getting home field advantage. Yeah, I don't think he's my top guy. I think the umpire, his name looks familiar. I think he's a good one too. I'm gonna look that up.
I mean, if you talk to Ben Pritchett, Julio Teheran's like a Cy Young candidate, so
Oh,
he loves Julio Teheran.
we got to get Ben on for a little guest spot on his Braves players.
Yeah.
He does know his Braves players, but he's not the most humble about it, I guess we'll say.
No, it's just, I mean, my deal with Teheran is like I don't, and because I guess I'd have to see some data on the movement of his, like, because he throws two fastballs. I think he throws the two-seamer and the four-seamer. Is that right, Derek?
Yeah, neither of his fastballs are particularly impressive in terms of the movement. I mean, they get a little bit above average velocity, but they don't move a whole lot. But they're good enough to make his secondary stuff work, and his secondary stuff is really good.
Yeah,
I mean-
just looking at the pitch values on FanDuel, his four-seamer is pretty far above average, but it looks like what makes his stuff work is the curveball change type stuff.
Yeah, coming up, he was like a two-pitch guy. It was like fastball, and I think it was the changeup. But he's developed into basically a five-pitch guy now. Like the slider's good, the curve is good, the changeup is good. Like his secondary offerings are really what make him as a pitcher.
I still think I like Hamels better.
I
To
like
be
Hamels
honest.
too, but I think I like Tehran better.
I think that because the game is in, I guess, how does Turner Field play in terms of park factor compared to Miami?
Miami's huge pitcher's park, but there is the concerns with the whole is Miami stealing signs or whatever because they're second in runs scored at home this year despite being a terrible offense. But in terms of just straight park factors, Miami's a lot better. Turner Field's pretty neutral.
Well, the last time we had this conversation about Hamels pitching versus the Marlins, we were like, oh, he's going to have the David Price start. He's going to K a bunch of guys, and he's going to give up a bunch of solo home runs. 3 solo home runs was a lot to give up. That, like, really, everyone... The one to Ozuna was the one that hurt the worst. But see, are you definitely Tehran over Hamels, Tuttle?
Yeah, I think I am. I mean, I can see the case for both, especially with Hamels pitching in such a good park. But another thing that we talk about quite a bit is the whole platoon advantage thing. And I mean, the Marlins' offense isn't good, but they are constructed to hit left-handed pitching.
They got
And so-
eight righties tonight.
Yeah, 8 righties with Yelich being the only lefty. I mean, I hate to compare him to an offense like the Tigers, or the Brewers, but it's the same thing. They're constructed to hit left-handed pitching, so it's never really ideal to pick a left-handed pitcher against those type of offenses. Now, once again, the Marlins are a bad offensive team, so Hamels certainly has potential and strikeout potential at that, but I do think he is the lesser of the two options between Tehran and Hamels.
All right, you guys have convinced me. I'm making the change. I'm doing it. But we probably should talk about Wainwright, though, because he is the most expensive pitcher, Cy Young candidate every single year, and a lot of people's first instinct is going to be to use him. Is there anything concerning that you see in his profile for tonight, Derek?
You said Wainwright?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Wainwright is elite. He's the most skilled pitcher that's pitching tonight, but I don't think the matchup is particularly good. I think San Francisco has a good offense, even though it's in a good park. Wainwright is coming from, a pitcher's park to begin with. Not that extreme, but it is a pitcher's park. And I just think losing the home field advantage and against a pretty good offense, I don't know. I think Tehran and Hamels have better matchups.
I mean, for whatever reason, like, I've not faded Clayton Kershaw in a single start all season, but Wainwright, I've, like, chosen other options a bunch, and I don't know I honestly, I couldn't tell you why that is. I couldn't tell you why I feel so comfortable fading Wainwright, but don't feel comfortable fading Kershaw. Is it Wainwright's consistency that makes his numbers look so good at year end, but he doesn't have like those super high K games? Like I honestly couldn't tell you what it is. But he doesn't seem to be an option that you're going to hate yourself if you fade like ever.
I don't know. I mean, I can definitely see regretting fading Wainwright tonight. I mean, I think he's not Kershaw, but he's still, an elite pitcher. He's a legitimate ace. So I don't know. I think just my impression of him is a little bit different than yours is.
Yeah. I mean, do you have any input on that, Tuttle?
I will say the Giants' offense isn't nearly as good. They have Juan Perez, or tried Juan Perez leading off last night. Blanco has been leading off for them in Pagan's absence. I know Brandon Belt's rehabbing now, but I'm not expecting him. I don't think to be in the lineup
this weekend, probably. Yeah.
This weekend, so still no Belt in the lineup.
And Morse got hurt last night, so I don't know for sure if he's gonna. He got pulled.
So maybe if Morse is out and they're Pagan is down, then maybe it bounces up.
Yeah, they'll have.
Well, I actually like them. They've been running a few times. They have ran the Morse at first base, or Duvall at first base, and Morse in the outfield. And I actually like targeting, not necessarily targeting, but I think that gives them a boost, right-handed pitching a boost against them when they're doing that and sitting Colvin. So I think you should pay attention to their lineup tonight. I think on like FanDuel, I think the pricing's not favorable enough. You can't play Wainwright.
Well, you can't play Wainwright and Trout, basically. And I think this is one of those nights where if you don't have Trout, you're at a distinct disadvantage. Just because you want to get as many Angels in your lineup as possible tonight, and Trout is obviously, he's the number one hitter projected in Batman today. I assume in any sort of model, he's going to come out as the number one hitter today.
He's got to be. The matchup's just ridiculous tonight. He was yesterday, like, in both of his games, he was, like, at the top. Because you just go into a park like that against a weak lefty, and it's game on.
Yeah.
Is it safe to say, because I'm looking over some of the pricing now on our lineups tool, and the pricing is kind of why it varies across the sites today a little more than I expected. I think, is it safe to say that, Teheran, Wainwright, and Hamels are close enough where you're basically just going to be paying or playing whatever the price tag is that on that specific site?
Yeah, I think so.
Like, one doesn't stand out to be way above the rest where you have to fit them in. I think it's almost going to be based on salary on that site.
Yeah, I think that, I think after talking to you guys a little bit, I would put Hamels maybe a little bit below Tehran. But, one thing that I do really like about Hamels is that, and we talked about this the other day, I can't remember if it was on the show or if we were just talking on Skype, but about how I like taking sort of veteran pitchers just because they don't have the same meltdown innings that younger pitchers do. A lot of the times, you get one blasted out of the park, and then you just throw the next pitch for a strike. And so taking guys like Hamels, he gave up all of those solo shots the other night versus the Marlins, but those were the only runs he gave up. He didn't allow himself to get rattled by that situation. So I'm talking myself back into Hamels as we go on. This is frustrating. But I don't see any of these other guys as options. You don't want to start DeGrom. You don't want to use Travis Wood. You don't want to use Brandon Workman. You definitely don't want to use this random Rangers guy, and you definitely don't want to use Chris Tillman in Baltimore. So I think that ownership percentages for all three of those pitchers are going to be super high tonight. I don't think you're going to see much variance at all.
I don't think on it's hard to play Draft Street on a night with such a short slate, but a guy like Workman, the matchup is pretty good. I don't hate it.
Yeah, I don't mind Workman on Draft Street either. But anywhere else, I think you're just asking for it if you try to roster him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously on Draft Street, if you're going to go 3 starting pitchers, you're not going to be able to afford Hamels, Tehran, and Wainwright. It just won't work out. It just won't work out with the salaries. So, but tonight, I think I would probably go 2 starting pitchers, 1 relief pitcher on Draft Street. Is that the way you would go, Tuttle?
Looking at salaries, let me see if I can bring Draft Street up here on our handy dandy lineups page. Yeah, I mean, Wainwright's ridiculously priced on Draft Street. He's near 25,000. Hamels is 20,000. Teheran's 23. So you definitely, if you want to play 2 stud starting pitchers, yeah, that's definitely the way to go. And I guess I don't think there's enough middle of the road pitchers though either to pencil in. So I think 2 starting pitchers and relief pitchers is the way to go.
Workman at 12 though, I mean, he's cheap enough where I may, I don't know, see what kind of lineup I could put together with him as my third.
Yeah, and I'm probably not going to play the
even
late
DeGrom
slate
at
on
10
Draft
like
Street.
isn't bad.
I mean,
But
that
yeah,
Braves lineup they do K a lot, which matters on Draft Street.
Yeah.
But just personally, I don't like playing the shorter slates on Draft Street. Like on a day like this, like I got in the all day slate. That's what I prefer to do because it just gives you more options. It allows you to do more basically. That's probably about it for pitching, though. I don't really think we need to go any more in depth than that. I think we kind of decided that Teheran was our guy tonight.
He's mine.
Okay.
Ditto.
Cool. Well, let's talk about hitters then. Starting with the stacks. Tuttle, who's your number 1 stack team tonight?
I think it's got to be the Angels. U.S. Cellular against Danks. You can get some cheap exposure too with Kyle Gill in the lineup, Megatron, even some of the guys in the lower part of their lineup. So you can get cheap exposure. You obviously want to fit Trout into your lineup if you can, but you can also work around him if you don't have the cap room to get him in.
I mean, the Angels will run out with Ibanez gone and with Calhoun sitting. They're going to run out a nine righty lineup versus him. They'll have Ionetta catcher. Who's the
Hamilton?
Oh, Hamilton will DH, yeah. Because they still have Grant Green, so if they want Hamilton to sit, he can.
No, Hamilton's in.
I haven't seen a lineup yet.
Yeah, Hamilton's in.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, I mean, that was the number 1 team for me. Obviously, I love anytime CJ Crone is in a hashtag pretty good spot. I think the last time he was against a lefty, he double-donged. Yeah, it was versus Vargas. So that was not too bad for Team Mega Crone. Are there any other teams worth stacking, though? I didn't see any team that I said you want multiple batters from this team for sure.
I don't think for sure, but I think Baltimore is a good stack tonight against Miklaus. I mean, Baltimore is always like, an option when they're at home against a weak pitcher because Camden Yards is such a good park, and because they have a lot of good hitters you can fit in the lineup. They have like an awesome combination of like good expensive hitters and like underrated cheap hitters that you can kind of combine for like a nice stack.
Oh, dude, when JJ Hardy was min price on FanDuel, you could take him like 4 times a week. It was great. And then he finally hit a home run, and now his price tag is back up to like normal, which is frustrating.
We just got a
2,700. I mean, that's still not bad.
We just got a message in chat that says Nelson Cruz is wearing a Batman shirt on MLTV.
Definitely.
Is it a sign? It might be a sign.
Holy crap.
Even though I don't think he's ranked very high I don't think he's ranked especially high by Batman tonight, but it could be a sign.
He's not low. When you take out the day hitters, he's a top 10 guy, maybe approaching top 5-ish, possibly.
The only problem is that Chris Davis is terrible. Like, Chris Davis is so terrible. That is the only problem I have with the Orioles stack. That's not actually true, but last night with him was pretty frustrating because he was...
Last night was so frustrating with him,
and
I have him on my all-day team too, so he needs to do something tonight.
Bro, CJ Crone, you messed up. Let's talk about actual hitters now, though. Starting with the catcher position. I mean, it's pretty ugly with the catcher position today. Like, even looking in the all-day stuff, there was like not anyone you really wanted. I've landed on Miguel Montero.
Ryan McCann.
Well, yeah, of course we took Ryan McCann. But the night slate, I mean, the number 1 option is probably Miguel Montero, but I'm never super excited about using him. Is there even anyone else that came up for you, Tuttle?
Not really. Montero's clearly the top option if you want to spend a little. I guess I don't hate Russell Martin on the other side of the game just because you get a cheap person in a good lineup spot at a weak position. That would be really the only reasoning there. But I mean, if you're going to spend around Martin's price tag on catcher, I'd rather take somebody in the 5-hole than anywhere else at any other spot that the catchers are batting in tonight, which is 8th or 9th.
Yeah, I'm an idiot, and David Ross is my catcher in the all-day games, and Przenski is catching, so that's pretty fun.
Yeah, I was wondering why you guys were all on Ross, because it's not like he plays all the time. He's like a 20% guy.
I mean, it's because I'm an idiot.
Tonight, I don't think Montero's necessarily the top option. I mean, if you have money to spend, I think Posey is even against Wainwright. But if not, I think Iannetta is a really good option, even though he's batting 9th. I mean, the rest of the matchup is just perfect. He's got the platoon. It's against Danks. It's in a great park. I mean, I think you punt with Iannetta and you spend elsewhere.
Yeah, the problem is that he always he's not min priced anywhere though. You have to pay a real price tag for him, which is always pretty frustrating. And
what's
29 on FanDuel,
yeah,
35 on DraftKings, 6,700 on Draft Street.
I would rather just pay $300 more for Miguel Montero, who will be batting. What is he batting 3rd or 4th tonight?
4th.
Yeah, so
it's in Pittsburgh though. I mean, you have to take that into consideration. I have the two ranked very close, but I think for, to save the money, I think I go Iannetta.
Okay.
That's me, though.
All right, moving on. Let's talk about second base. Looking at FanDuel right now, it looks like Pedroia is probably the top guy with the platoon against Travis Wood, who, I'm sorry, Dink, he's still not, he's just okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Drew's so mad right now. Drew's tilting.
Yeah, I think Pedroia. I mean, there's concerns with Pedroia, that he's not healthy. So you got to dock him a little bit, possibly for that. I know Scott Pianowski is all about the Dustin Pedroia is broken thing right now. So I think he's probably still the best option, but I think Gordon Beckham's a good option against Skaggs at home in whatever the name of it is, U.S. Cellular. I think they're actually kind of an underrated stack tonight, the White Sox.
I mean, Skaggs is really inconsistent, but when he doesn't have it, he doesn't have it at all. But when he does, it's you do. Guys like Gordon Beckham are helpless against Skaggs when he has the changeup going. He's not going to get on base. So I'm not definitely looking at White Sox at all. Although I don't hate Beckham just because he is what he is because of U.S. Cellular, pretty much.
Never mind.
Which one of these guys do you like, Tuttle? Any of them? Are you on someone entirely different?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of guys in the conversation, so we'll see what Tuttle thinks.
I think Pedroia. I think I'd take Pedroia over Beckham, but I think there's plenty of options. When I ran Nappy earlier today and used Batman's projections, it actually punted the second base position and put Flaherty in there.
Flaherty, yeah.
Yeah, so that's telling me that it's not too high on anyone in particular at second base. So I don't mind punting Flaherty. Another option would be, obviously, if you wanted to get exposure to the Angels offense, Kendrick's a decent option, and I think he's got a fair price across the industry.
He's 3.1 on FanDuel. It's a little bit more pricey on Draft Street and DraftKings.
Yeah, so I think he's more of a play on FanDuel than for that price tag, but you can fit him in across the industry. But if you're taking we'll have to see what Batman says, I guess, a little later on. But it was trying to get me to play Flaherty, and I don't necessarily disagree with that.
Speaking of superheroes, I will give one of you three guys $50 if you can name Flaherty's nickname in 3 seconds.
What?
Flaherty? I have no idea. What is Flaherty's nickname?
Flash.
Yeah.
It's not the Flash. I was going to say it, but there's no way.
It's Flash. He's a Vandy boy. He used to he played for Vandy back in the day, so that was his nickname.
Where does that even come from?
I was past 3 seconds, Davis. I said 3 seconds.
No, it was not. You said 30.
I said 3.
I mean, I said it pretty quickly.
You said it quickly.
We might have to go to the tape review.
It did not help that I said I'll give you 3 seconds to name Flaherty's nickname. So I pretty much gave it to you, but you still didn't get it. Tough.
Yeah. The
Tough.
back
I
basically
think I
has like
probably got
Beckham,
it.
Walker, Utley, Kendrick, and Flaherty just like grouped. So I don't know. I might
I mean,
just
if you
go
have
with
them
Flaherty.
grouped like that, you might want to take the cheapest one.
Yeah, I think that's what I'll probably end up doing.
I think I'm probably going with Pedroia just because every other time I've said that Pedroia is hurt, he like ends up having a really good game, and then Drew is like, "Oh, he's hurt, is he? Oh yeah, looks like he's real hurt." So,
Plus, is against Dink's favorite pitcher.
oh man, this got to just be tearing him up inside. Team Wood.
Yeah, what is he gonna do tonight?
I have no
Wood's
idea.
getting lit up tonight.
Speaking of that, the Red Sox actually are a pretty decent stack tonight. I'd say against Wood.
Mookie.
My only problem with stacking Red Sox against lefties is that Fenway is not a very good park for righties, but I still think, all considered, they're a pretty good stack tonight.
So, can someone tell me where Brock Holt came from? They are just like all of a sudden in love with this dude. They're still leading him off versus left-handed pitchers. Like, I didn't even know he was a prospect. Like, he might not have even been in their like top
He
five.
wasn't really a legit prospect.
It's really weird, but
Yeah.
I guess
He's gonna be a
here
Gene
to stay.
Segura, right?
No, Segura kind of had a little bit of a pedigree.
Yeah.
Except Segura was like a defensive prospect.
Yeah, it was a defensive pedigree more than anything. And then he came into the league last year and just performed way above anything that he could sustain.
Yeah. Let's talk about shortstop. I think the most attractive option, and I don't know why this keeps happening, but Andrelton Simmons batting second. I know it's righty-righty, but for min price on FanDuel,
Davis, the platoon! The platoon!
Davis!
No, Davis is completely against rostering same-handedness.
I am for the most part pretty against it, but like guys like Simmons, he can get on base with a BABIP single, he can take a walk, whatever, and then he has really good hitters behind him in Freddie Freeman and Jason Hayward, and that's is hashtag good of a spot as it gets in. And just batting second is worth a lot to projected points, I think, because it's just a really good spot to score runs, and he doesn't even really have to do anything other than get on base in order to score like FanDuel points. And
How is he still min price on FanDuel?
I don't know, but
How's that a
It's
thing?
ridiculous, but there's no one else you can even play tonight. Like, he's in my all day. He's going to be in all of my night games. I mean, he's my top night shortstop, and
hey,
he's
you know
minimum
who's
priced,
who's a pretty good shortstop in the all day? Sean
Jordy.
Rodriguez.
How quickly will you forget Jordy Mercer?
Yeah, that's who I was gonna say.
It's the Sean Rodriguez the next day that we harp on.
I mean, Jordy Mercer is an elite play versus left-handed. I'm never giving this one
he is
up.
not.
Never giving this up, Derek. He has
especially in PNC. He's not.
See Davis is just maddening to me because he seems like he's so logical in his decision-making process, and then he just harps on one thing.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing about me. I am really logical to a certain point, but I have, like, insane biases that just get in my... you know why it is? It's because a player will do well for me one time, and that's all it takes. Is one Jordy Mercer home run that, like, wins me a three-man is gonna keep him in my heart until he retires. Like, for real.
We need to get Renee to run a study on you.
Yes.
No, that's not going to end. That is not going to end well.
Renee could win some sort of Nobel Peace Prize doing a study on Davis and Steve.
Oh my gosh. She really could.
No. Another guy we need to talk about, Xander Bogaerts versus left-handed pitching. Also, he's batting sixth, which is obviously not as good as batting second, but his skills versus left-handed pitching are really good. He kind of does flail versus right-handed pitching, although it's gotten better. He's a player that I paid attention to a lot throughout this season just because I kept not rostering him, and he kept doing really well. And then Dink is like, dude, why are you not rostering Xander Bogaerts? He's like pretty good. How does he look in Batman tonight, Derek?
He's not showing up on my top. I need to see why. It looked like he was missing the other day. Maybe I need to look at that.
He's got just an absolutely ridiculous price tag on Draft Street for $3,200.
Oh yeah. I think he's probably an auto play for that price. Would you agree, Tuttle?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I agree with that for 3,200.
I actually did not notice that in the all day, so that is frustrating.
But you got Sean Rodriguez, so it's okay.
I don't think I took him on Draft Street.
I think he's only outfield eligible there, anyways.
I should stop waking up very early and doing lineups. I should get a normal amount of sleep. Do we need to talk about any other shortstops, Derek?
No, I mean, especially with how cheap Simmons is. I feel like Davis is all about don't play guys without the platoon advantage, but you have to combine everything. And even though Simmons doesn't have the platoon advantage, there are definitely times when the guy is still going to be valuable and still going to be a good play, even when they don't have the platoon advantage.
Yeah, and I'm saying that this is one of those times.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those times. But in general, though, I start with looking at guys. First I look for the worst pitchers, and then I look opposing them who has the platoon advantage.
Mm-hmm. But I think this isn't necessarily directed at you, but I feel like a lot of people they'll do that, and then automatically anyone who doesn't have the platoon advantage is ruled out because they have so many other guys on their list to pick from. They're like, why should I go for a guy without the platoon advantage when I have this list of 5 other guys I can pick from?
I would say 95% of the time I'm going to have an entire lineup of guys who do have the platoon advantage, probably.
And it's a smart play, not the only consideration. You got to weigh everything.
Yeah, and I don't think we've talked about this on the show at all, but I like to take guys who are left-handed batters versus right-handed pitchers because when the game gets into the bullpen, especially last night we saw it in the Baltimore game, Chris Davis had the platoon advantage the whole game, even against the bullpen. So I really like to take left-handed batters who are going against right-handed starters. That's why pretty much every time the Angels face a mediocre to good right-handed pitcher, I'm taking Cole Calhoun every time.
Calhoun, by the way, number 8 last night on Batman.
Oh God, Derek. I think Tuttle is frozen. I think that he has left us.
I think I'm still here, though. Maybe.
He's got the contemplative look going on.
Am I still here? Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I think Alexi Ramirez we need to throw in the conversation too, against Skaggs at home.
Yeah.
He's in chat. Lukey's are Davis's favorites. I think you brought up 20 times last night how Lukey was going to come in to face Chris Davis. Oh my gosh! Lugie's totally coming in. Lugie's coming in. He's
he just likes to use the word loogie.
I do like to use the word loogie, and by 20 times you mean twice because I did it twice. I did it before the inning started, and then right when he was coming up to bat, and then you were like, "Nah, dude, you're good."
Touche.
Okay. Let's go to first base then. So top option is Chris Davis. True or false, Tuttle?
True.
False.
False. Okay. Who is the top option?
Albert Pujols.
Nah.
Yeah.
Now he's gonna ground into 4 double plays.
But you were just saying before how much you hate Chris Davis.
Yeah, because I'm playing CJ Crone. I mean, okay. In all seriousness,
I think Davis and Pujols are close. I think they're the top 2, but I think I like Pujols more. But it's splitting hairs.
In all seriousness, I don't understand what happened to Albert Pujols. 2.5 years ago, he was unquestionably the best player in baseball, and now he costs $3,400 on FanDuel. What happened? Is it just him getting old and fat?
It's him getting old. I mean, he was in decline when the Angels signed him. It was a terrible contract to sign him to. He was in decline. He was getting older. He's kind of has some nagging injuries all the time, it seems like, that he tries to play through, and he's just getting older. It happens.
I mean, he's still hitting for power, which is nice.
He's still a good hitter, but he's not going to be Albert Pujols forever, the same as A-Rod wasn't A-Rod forever, It's it happens.
I mean, A-Rod was A-Rod for longer though because of steroids. So we should get Pujols some steroids. Tuttle, are you still with us or nah?
Yeah.
He's still there.
Screenshot look like?
All right. Well, it looks pretty hilarious.
I see it.
Will you break down Pujols?
That's sexy, man.
Let me throw Jose Abreu into the mix too, because I feel like he's really close to those guys.
Yeah, I mean, I would take Abreu over Pujols just because I think he's a better hitter, basically. And I think that even if say Skaggs is on, Abreu could still dong off of him. Like, he is that good. Anytime he has the platoon advantage, I really like Abreu. However, though, I am using CJ Cron because I do think the Angels lineup is that good. I think all of those guys are going to get to bat five or six times tonight. I think this is finally the night that Cy Danks goes down. He has been so annoying.
Yeah, it really has.
But I mean, we've seen it with all of these like the Bedard bucket pitchers, though. We've seen it with all of them. Burley's gotten dinged up a couple times. Bedard went 5 earned runs, 4 innings, 2 starts ago versus the Orioles. Eventually, these pitchers who are like keeping it together with magic do get shelled, and I think this is the night for Danks.
I think another like mid-range option you can look for if you're not like spending on like Abreu or Davis is Napoli against Wood.
I mean, wouldn't you much rather have Cron? Like, in all seriousness?
I don't think I would. I mean, I like Cron, but he's batting 7th, and I don't know.
Can I tell you guys a little story about CJ Cron?
Please.
He was the only hitter in college to get 3 hits or more off Strasburg in a game. True story.
Hold on, let me work that into Batman, and then I'll get back to you on where he stays the same. Sorry.
Yeah, please plug in that anecdote.
I just did. He's still.
What does that do? What does that do to his projection on Narrative Street?
Narrative Street for the win.
see, I think on Narrative Street that adds at least like a +5 to his point total. Yeah, Dink knows in chat. #1 on Narrative Street. I don't think there are any other first basemen we need to know. I bet that Chris Davis is probably going to be the highest owned on FanDuel tonight.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Or, I mean, I feel like people kind of have gotten sick of Pujols. Like, last night...
So there's value to be had, especially in a
I'm
GPP.
not saying that... I'm not saying Pujols is a bad play, and if I do end up playing late on Draft Street, I'll probably play Pujols and Cron and use Cron in the utility slot. Like, I think that's probably the move to be made. But yeah, let's move on. Let's talk about third base. Who is the top third baseman in Batman?
It is Adrian Beltre without the platoon advantage against Chris Tillman.
I have gotten burnt so many times saying that Beltre is not a bad play.
Bogarts is a good play tonight. Up on my list. That's why.
Yeah, no, Beltre. I mean, Beltre has like a ridiculous WOBA versus both right-handed and left-handed pitching. Like, he's just a great hitter.
Good pitcher of the park, even though it's not our.
Cardi cutting out for you guys?
Beltre is the top guy tonight.
Yeah, Cardi, you're cutting out a little bit.
Oh, am I?
Yeah.
At least my connection's good, guys.
You're swagging out, Tuttle.
I kind of like this because you guys don't know if I'm here, so I just kind of chill in the background. Don't really have to say anything.
All right. Well, who do you like? Who do you like at third base, Tuttle? Who's the guy you're looking to roster?
Third place is third place. Third base is pretty ugly tonight. I like Matt Carpenter. I think it's probably my top third base option.
I like that pick.
I like Carpenter a lot.
Yeah, against Vogelsong. He's not rating high on Batman right now. We'll see if that changes at all. My guess would
he's a number
probably
3
be
third
Park
base.
Factor. Yeah. So it's just because third base is so crappy today.
Yeah, it's Beltre, Bogarts, Carpenter on my list, so he's up there. It's just third base is kind of ugly today.
Yeah. So I like Carpenter quite a bit.
Right now, I have David Freese in my lineup. Is that a huge mistake, Derek?
No, not a huge mistake. I mean, he's batting 8th, but the matchup is good. I think there's better options. I think if I'm like going for like a punt third baseman, Luis Valbuena against Workman, because he's got the platoon advantage and he's a lefty in Fenway. So like lefties in Fenway are a lot better than righties in Fenway, and he's batting 5th. So I don't dislike Valbuena. Is the wind still blowing out there? It was the past couple days.
Yeah, I don't have that in front of me at all. Maybe Tuttle has it pulled up.
Yeah, it's blown out to left field.
Yeah, that's what it's been doing. So I like him as a punt.
Okay, I mean, I'm probably using Freeze just to get some cheap exposure to that to John Danks. I don't know. I just went brain dead there for a second. Are there any other infielders that we need to talk about before we move on to outfield?
Ed Lucas?
Ed Lucas for show. Every time Ed Lucas has the platoon advantage, I like to use him somewhere.
Well, when he's batting second, too. I mean, it's obviously not a great matchup, but he's minimum price everywhere. We talked about at the second base position, it's really crappy tonight, so you're probably punting anyways. Well, at least if you're not going, Pedroia or... so, yeah, Ed Lucas.
Yeah, I mean, is this a night that we see something that's rarer than almost anything? Do we see an Ed Lucas solo shot?
I don't know if I'd go that far. I mean, we don't like Dink that much.
I like
give
Dink.
his boy shout out.
I like Dink that much. When Ed Lucas hit a home run at Dodger Stadium with why can't I say his name right now? What is the Dodgers radio guy name? Why can't I say it?
Scully.
Scully?
Okay. All right. I just went brain dead. This is bad. Yeah, that was pretty great. That was like one of the coolest things ever. IMHO. All right. Let's move on to outfield though. I mean, it's Trout, right? Like, I
For sure.
I think you have to get him in, especially if you're not taking Wainwright. Like, I think you just have to play him. On Draft Street, it's obviously tricky because he's 10K, but I think you have to make sacrifices in your lineup to get him in.
According to the bat, Trout is projected for 4.08 FanDuel points, and the second highest outfielder tonight is 3.38. Like, the gap is just enormous.
Yeah. And I asked this last night, does Trout still steal bases, or does he not do that anymore? Like, I actually legitimately do not know.
He hasn't. He hasn't.
He was always...
Much.
Yeah, I mean, he has 10 this year, so, I mean, it's not like he's, like, so far off his pace, but he's becoming more of, like, a middle-of-the-order type guy, whereas, like, earlier in his career, he was batting leadoff. And he's still fast, but he was a guy that scouts always said, Trout's going to start slowing down because a guy that big doesn't stay that fast for too long. So, I mean, it's not necessarily a great bet to expect him to, go on like a 30 stolen base pace the rest of the way.
Yeah, and I mean, everyone in chat right now is saying how hard it is to get him in. I personally did not find it that difficult, even in the all day with Cueto. All you have to do is punt like one spot, especially if you're using Cowgill. That frees up a ton of room, basically. And because the really good first base options tonight, Pujols, Chris Davis, and for myself, CJ Cron, are not expensive. And first base is normally where you're allocating a ton of your resources.
And especially if you're going to punt at second with like a guy like Flaherty or whoever, that's going to free up some cash. Or Simmons, min price. Like FanDuel, it's going to be pretty easy, I think, to work Trout in.
Yeah, and I'm not... I think that... Yeah, and Kyle Cannon just said in chat, it is a lot... It's always more difficult on DraftKings because the really expensive hitters are more expensive there.
Uh-huh.
It's not flat priced the way that FanDuel is. I think that you need to get exposure to him. I think having Cowgill and Trout is really important tonight.
Yeah, I'll probably have Trout on FanDuel, and then on DraftKings, I probably won't end up with him, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, that's probably the way that I'm going to go.
Especially because I'm going to be going 2 high-priced pitchers. Like, I'm probably going to go Teheran and Hamels or something like that on DraftKings, so fitting Trout with them is going to be really difficult.
Yeah. I really like Jason Hayward versus DeGrom. I like this new lineup spot for him, actually. I think he's a better fit for the 5-hole than he is for leading off. What are your thoughts on Hayward tonight, Tuttle?
Yeah, I think he's a okay option. I know Ben wrote him up in today's Daily Diamond. I'm not sold that...
Wait, hold on. Ben wrote up a Brave? Don't believe it.
I know. Well, he wrote up a Brave that wasn't Justin Upton, or Evan Gattis, I should say.
Yeah.
I mean, he wants to write up Evan Gattis even when he's on the DL. But, yeah, Ben wrote up a Brave. Hey, I already gave Ben a shout-out about his Braves accuracy, so... Take it for what it is. Ben likes Hayward tonight.
I like Hayward. I'm in agreement with Ben. I think Hayward is a good play tonight.
Yeah.
I don't think DeGrom's very good. He's got the platoon advantage. He's playing at home. He's batting fifth. That's weird, but fifth is still a decent enough spot.
We got a question in chat real quick, Derek. Gomes, Diane Viciedo, Cowgill on DraftKings. Rank those.
Oh, none of them are particularly on my radar right now. Let me look. Gomes.
Not Colin Cowgill?
Oh, Gomes looks great. Gomes, Viciedo, and Cowgill. Yeah, I go Gomes, then Viciedo, then Cowgill.
That is the exact opposite order that I had.
Gomes and Viciedo are actually pretty high tonight. They're both top 30 options, it looks like. So.
All right. Well, then you and I are gonna. Maybe I will take one of your head-to-heads tonight because we're gonna have pretty different rosters.
How'd that work out for you last night?
Oh snap! Oh my gosh!
Yeah. No, Derek scored 50. I scored 45.
Killed him.
56.
You got after the win kicked in.
Yeah.
Not too bad. Not too bad. I mean, you're a dick for taking my game, but whatever.
I would never take your game. You were in all of them this morning. I ended up with like 3 because I'm not going to take a Davis game. I'm not going to be that mean to him.
You would have gotten dominated today.
This is definitely my favorite Tuttle face, by the way. This one.
What's your all-day score look like right now, Davis?
I have 25.
Okay, I have 30 with 5 guys still left to play.
I have Crone Troutworth left to play.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Cardi's finding his mojo.
Yeah,
you do need to be careful with Gomes, though. I don't know if it's a recent thing that they're going to start doing, but they're definitely platooning him. At least they did the last game. He only got because I played him against Vidal Nuno, which is the last time he played. Then he got pulled as soon as the righty came in. So that's something to certainly take into consideration with Gomes. I'd personally go Viciedo, Cowgill, and then Gomes.
Dude, Diane Viciedo is literally the worst. And he never does what I want him to do, so I'm sworn off of him for the time being. He's the ultimate doesn't homer when you take him, homers the next day guy. That is what he exists to do.
Also, I totally messed up my Fenway Park splits before. Fenway is better for righties than it is for lefties, a lot better. And Gomes is a righty, and the wind is blowing out to left field. So while pinch hitting is, a threat, I think the matchup is really good if that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I don't have any sort of particular problem with that at all. But I mean, I want exposure to Danks, so that's all it is for me. Okay. Is there any other outfields we need to talk about, Tuttle?
Of the ones I could hear you guys mention, no.
Okay. Guaranteed dong time then. I'm gonna let Derek go first, but I bet he doesn't even have them queued up.
I don't, but I think Mike Trout is going to be the obvious one for all of us.
Okay.
If not, then I'm going to go Nelson Cruz without the platoon advantage.
Yeah, he's got a really nice price tag on FanDuel too. I'm not going to blame anyone who's fading Trout tonight or thinks that I'm crazy for fitting him in everywhere, but I just think that you're going to be kind of sad if you don't have him and he scores 20 FanDuel points. That's going to be a bummer for you. Dan, guaranteed dongs.
I'll go Pujols, and Viciedo is my under the radar.
Yeah, Viciedo is going to be my under the radar.
Viciedo is a good one. There's no doubt about it. All
right.
Okay.
I'll go Gomes is my under the radar then.
Not too bad. I'm going to take CJ Crone as my obvious.
Only is it obvious because it's Davis Matic making the pick.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I am going to take Jason Worth as my under the radar. If they're under 3,000 on FanDuel, it counts as under the radar.
I love me some Worth.
Dude, Batman wants to do butt stuff with Jason Worth. It loves Jason Worth.
He said he's feeling better now. He feels like he's out of his slump. Saw an article today. by one of the beats. So for whatever that's worth. But the game.
Yeah, why are we talking about the Nationals again?
Because Davis likes to talk about games that have already.
Oh, I just went to go look. I just went to go look at my all day to get a guy. Actually, let me just make it Stanton and Crone as my guaranteed dongs. Stanton at home versus lefties is ridiculous.
Yeah, Stanton's a good play, even against Hamels.
Yep.
Chew or Viciato?
Overall, or for a dong? Overall, it's Chew, but Viciato just has more power, so he's got a better chance of hitting a home run. But if you're just picking for your lineup, go with Chew.
I think the combined score of Diane Viciato.
Price insensitive.
I think the overall score of Diane Viciato and Shin-Shu Chu on my rosters on FanDuel for the whole season is definitely in the negatives. They've definitely scored more negative points for me than anything.
Yeah.
Roster them both.
Chew's in a really good spot though. Chew is actually, I think, one of the top options tonight.
Well, why didn't you mention him earlier, Derek?
Because you hurried right past. You didn't ask my opinion on other outfielders.
I guess I didn't. I'm being a bad host. I'm sorry. I'm definitely taking one of your games tonight.
Go for it. This is going to be fun.
Yeah.
Davis is so tilted.
Dude, no, Derek does tilt me. So does Tuttle. Tuttle tilts me the worst, actually.
Well, when you're 0-4 against me, I mean, I can see
is
where
that
he wants
true?
to try and make his money back. It's just he's going to dig himself a bigger hole.
Yeah. If he wants to make his money back, he'll just challenge you in an $11 head-to-head. So,
Dude, I don't play that high limits. What are you talking about?
well, yeah, I know. But you play. I mean, you play volume. I mean, you do the smart thing. If more people would take cues.
Yeah, I play $302 games a day.
I've been playing a lot like Davis lately because he's given me this advice, and it's been working out well. It sounds kind of ridiculous, but I don't know. I like it.
Well, when you both are fighting
Bankroll
over who's
management
getting
for the
into
win.
the 3-man games, I mean that's a good sign of just grinding. So you have to start somewhere. The thing is, we talked about this a little yesterday. My home league wants to switch off my fantasy league, and I know that Dink thinks that it's a bad interface. That wasn't really the point. I didn't say my fantasy league was pretty, but they want to switch off of it because of Gamecast. When you have 1 million Gamecast out there to view your players on, and you can do so much stuff with my fantasy league that you can't do in these just default leagues like ESPN and Yahoo. These guys are the ones that will be in DFS next. They're the ones that
Cannot wait to take their money.
they're the ones that are going to be spending the most money on their defense when they play NFL. I mean that.
Oh my god, I cannot wait to troll through the FanDuel lobby, see them with 4 NFL wins, and take their games.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, and you can on a site like DraftKings, you can easily just post $100 $2 games, Davis, and just watch the money comes in. Hey, Tuttle's unfrozen. Oh yes, we got the middle finger. I was waiting for it. We got it. We got the middle finger pick. Nice. There we
Tuttle
go.
looks like a male model.
He
right
does.
now. He looks like he's doing his blue steel.
That is a male.
Am I frozen again?
Oh, it's like your middle finger, but it's like the convict picture.
I have been watching Orange is the New Black lately.
Dude, I've watched 3 seasons of 30 Rock the last 2 days.
That is what I like to call sad right there. Between that and Clash of Clans, Davis, you should probably start studying for some classes coming up. Your productivity is at an all-time low.
No, it's not. It is absolutely not at an all-time low.
You just said you watched 3 seasons of 30 Rock. You play.
Yeah, I have it on in the background while I do fantasy stuff.
And play Clash of Clans.
You can only do that every 2 hours, bro. It takes forever.
Steve's got 200 trophies now, or close to it. Better watch out.
I have 1,300, bro. Tell him to get at me.
Oh well. I did watch the first 2 episodes of Orange is the New Black last night. So we'll see. We'll see if it sticks.
My dad's extremely conservative and was like, "Oh, I heard some good things about this show. Should I watch it?" Like, yeah, probably not. And so he's the one who brought it up. So then I turned it on Netflix the next night, and just the opening scene, you see like 4 pairs of tits right away.
And Tuttle was hooked.
Yeah, and then you got me.
Oh man. Let's see. Dink says, "Great show, guys. I really appreciate all that you do for the industry. So appreciate it." DP
I
wants
really
to know.
love Batman.
Yeah, DP wants to know, what is it about the show? It's about women in prison.
No, he's asking what 30 Rock is about, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, 30 Rock is kind of like a spoof of the Saturday Night Live stuff that went behind the scenes. 30 Rock's a clever show too. Not quite as good as Arrested Development, but a show
Nothing
that
is as good as Arrested Development.
Nothing.
Yeah, I agree. But it garnered critical acclaim without having an audience, which I think, pretty sure we can attest to, is kind of our show too. I mean, critics love it, just not very.
Not if Dink is that critic.
Listen, you don't watch every show if you don't have a secret love for something. So, whether he says it or not, Drew loves us, and he loves the show. But that will do it for today's show. Tune in tonight as I spank the Spankmaster on Fantasy Elite. We just drafted during the show. I'll read off our rosters because Grant's not getting back to me with the links. He actually went with 3 pitchers. He went with Workman and Morton and DeGrom, and then Ortiz, Gomes, Napoli, Pedroia, Flaherty, and Marte. So he's heavy on the Boston Red Sox. I went with Tehran and Anderson, and then Bogarts, Cruz, Davis, Jones, Mookie Betts, Jason Hayward, and a guy who's minimum salary who Batman likes, and that is Reggiano tonight.
Reggiano's in a pretty good spot.
Yeah,
I mean,
and he's
he doesn't have the
min
platoon,
salary,
but yeah.
And leading off, he gets points for at bats. So
I am going to be drafting that game after the show ends, and he's one of my value picks. So shh.
Okay. Well, let's see if Birdwings does watch this show. So
Does he?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
He's not in the chat though, so don't you worry. All right, guys, that'll do it. Tune in tomorrow. We'll have Tuttle, Knapp, and Davis, and it should be a fun show. We'll try to get some trivia. We'll try to get the different faces of Tuttle game that we play. See what expression he'll do next. That's frozen. So until then, we will see you later. Can we get a couple pals from you? There you go.
Man.
Dude, Tyson Ross is about to throw a complete game shutout.
Number 1 SP today.
Oh, you're the worst, Derek.